Thank you, Ram. Good evening, students. How are you all doing today? Your weekend has started, and hope you're preparing for your week-long and week-long में extra पढ़ाई होनी चाहिए. So hope you're doing that extra effort and preparing yourself for the extra time, because generally in weekdays you'll be held up with lot of work, office work, your articleship and other things. And at least on Saturday, Sunday, you may not have that much of held up time. So that is the time for you to revise and not to have fun, because this is not the time to have fun. This is the time for you to study till your exams get over. Forget all the things which is not relevant and not important. It is really important is what you have to do. Where remember, if I just want to share take a couple of minutes and share my experience. I remember that when I did my CA final or even CA inter, that time we didn't have this articleship. We had to clear our inter and then do the articleship. So when we were clearing this intern, we were having colleges. After colleges, we used to go to classes. So our class in the college started from morning 7 up till 12:30, and some days it used to go on up to 1:30. So after that, we used to have kind of lunch break, and then coaching classes, we used to go outside, and the coaching classes were starting at around 4 o'clock, and it used to go till 7 o'clock. And then you're so very tired, and we used to travel them not with the vehicles what we have now. We used to travel by a bus or something. It was so very hectic. But trust me, those were the days when we really did wonders to ourselves. Because today, if you want to stretch that much, it may not be possible, because there are so many things like you'll be fed up with the traffic in the city, and you're fed up with so much of other commitments. So those days are really memorable days and really helped us to build that strong thing now. So even today, if some client tells me to come early, can I go? Yes, I can go, because of the practice what I had during my articleship days, during my examination, during my study days of intermediate. And then we still used to have fun. Nothing like we never missed out or things like that. But we used to make sure that whenever we had time, we put on our effort to studies, because in final, I remember me and my friend used to take up a book and work out problems from it. So a lot of exercises helped me clear my finals, because there was this paper on costing, and costing was really a tough paper. But we challenged that tough paper, and we both sat and worked out all the questions. So it had like 20 worked out problems and 20 problems to work out from each chapter. That's the minimum, I'll tell you. There were at least some 11 chapters, and each of the chapters had some questions. So we used to work out, and what we used to verify was only the final answer, because all the steps were not given. And costing, we know that each problem is different. So that practice always helped me in really solving those costing problems. So lot of either you're self-motivated to do these things yourself, or you form a team or form a group of friends. Group of friends shouldn't be that you just go and start with talking, do something and end up with talking. No, you start with your work, take some time off from talking or something like that, but concentrate on your subject. That's what we used to do. That we sat together either in my house or we used to go to his house, and we used to work problems upon problems. Whenever I had doubt, I used to ask him. Whenever he had doubt, he used to. But at least first start was we used to work out together, so we could understand things both of us. Even though we used to go to classes, but classes will help. It will be very, really helpful when we take up the problems and solve it, because the practical application of whatever we read has to come in there. So that's why this exercise of writing out the answers, not just seeing it, okay, I know this. You might know while seeing it, but when the actual problem comes, when you're in the examination hall, you know that all your questions will not be as what is seen here. At least in our BCom level, we used to know, okay, this question, when we used to see in the question paper, okay, I've seen this question. So your confidence used to be there. But in CA, the confidence definitely goes off, because you know that what comes there is never a problem which you've already seen. It will always be a new problem. But if you know the technique, you know the methodology, you know the provisions, you know what are the steps to be taken up. If you recognize the question, then your answer becomes easy. Otherwise, it's not a problem at all. So understand that lot of working out is really important. So make the maximum use of it. If you are alone, also take up books. Books are the best friends. Nowadays, you get a lot of books. So, but the CA material also is really good. Apart from that, you could use other books to see various kinds of problems, because you need to have lot of experience in solving the problems. So take up lot of questions. It could be previous questions. Previous questions, what when you take up, you see the answers also. So you work out and then see the answers, so that at least you're prepared for it. If you have the answers, then you tend to see the answer first. Don't see the answers first. See the questions. You try to work out yourself, then see the answers. Then you know that you're evaluating yourself. You're an evaluator of your own answers. So you see what is the suggested answer saying and what is your answer. Then you'll see a comparison that my approach itself is wrong. A lot of times that happens, that your approach itself is incorrect. So make sure that your approach is correct. So have a correct approach and then work on the problems. In GST also, we are relating lot of provisions, right? And these provisions, you'll see that the practical implication of that is very different. When we work out the problem solving sessions, you'll have to remember a lot of things. You'll have to connect. It's called connecting the dots, that we read something from registration, then we read something from exemptions, then we read something from supply. Then we have to identify whether it's a composite supply or a mixed supply. What is the rate to be applied? How much is the input tax credit you can claim? So those things is what is really required. By this theory sessions, we are giving you that input. Use this input and come out with the output. So application, not everybody can apply the theoretical things what we read, right? That has to come through practice. So practice a lot of questions, a lot of sums, that will really help you. Okay. So we were discussing on exemptions. So is my voice clear? Somebody is saying my voice is really low. Is my voice clear to everyone? या वॉइस प्रॉब्लम है या इसको चेंज करूं? ओके, एक मिनट, या फिर मैं इसको ब्लूटूथ ऑन करता हूँ अभी देख. या वन मोमेंट. Okay, is the voice clear better now? Okay. Okay. Okay, great. So we will discuss and continue our discussion on the exemption chapter. We have discussed the exemptions on major of the services. Major services we have covered. I'll just recapitulate so that it is easier. So one thing is, in the chart form, what happens is the charts are easy to understand. It is easy to revise, right? So the chart forms in this chapter was really relevant and will be helpful. We started with charitable activities. We know that in case of charitable activities, services provided by a charitable activity by a charitable organization is exempted if it is registered under 12AA or 12AB of the Income Tax Act. Now, what all activities is covered which is exempted there? Charitable activities relating to public health, advancement of religious spirituality or yoga, advancement of educational program, skill development relating to abandoned. Now, this we have some MCQs worked on in it, so we know this more thoroughly. Advancement of educational program or skill development relating to abandoned, orphaned or homeless children, physically or mentally abused or traumatized person, prisoners or persons above the age of 65 years residing in rural areas. Then we have preservation of environment, watersheds, forests and wildlife as another activity which is covered under the charitable activities. So these activities, if a charitable organization does, then they are exempted. Then if they run old age homes for residents who are above 60 years and their consideration is up to 25,000 per month, then also it is exempted. Then renting of prisons, we know renting of prisons of a registered religious place meant for general public. If the room rent is 999, then if it's a premises or Kalyan Mandapam, then the value should be 9,999 per day. Or if it is a shop, then the rent should be up to 9,999 per month. Okay, then you will get this exemption. Apart from this, a non-12 AA registered persons also get some exemptions. Those are related to Pandit services. Okay, any pilgrimage, any kind of religious ceremony which has been conducted by an individual. Hostel accommodation run by trust up to rupees 999 per day is exempted. So this is general applicable to any hotel also. So this need not be a charitable organization itself. It could be anybody. Then service of rehabilitational professionals. Okay. Then religious pilgrimages conducted by Kamau Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited and Hajj Committee. Those services are exempted. Then training and coaching in recreational activities relating to sports. Okay. Training activities relating to sports. This is done by a 12 AA registered entity. Then it is exempt. Then training or coaching in recreational activities relating to arts or culture is exempted. This need not be. Why I'm saying this? Because we'll get confused with training by for relating to sports. Relating to sports should be run by a 12 AA, 12 AB unit. But in case of training, coaching in recreational activities relating to arts and cultures can be run by anybody. Okay, so it need not be a 12 AA unit itself. So these are the activities which are exempt in relation to charitable organizations. Then we read the various definitions over here. Then we went to agriculture services. Services provided by an agriculturist is exempted, right? Now, agriculture produce are basically some basic requirement is the basic requirement. So agriculture produce is exempted. Then registration, no registration required to the extent of produce of cultivation. Then renting of vacant land with or without structure is exempted. Then agro-machinery, renting of agro-machinery is exempted. Then what are the activities covered under this? Agriculture operations, supply of farm labor, process carried out at agriculture farm. So you'll have to really keep a one point, really keep your ears open here is in terms of agricultural activities, non-agricultural activities. So non-agricultural activities, we have a chart over here. So we'll distinguish what is non-agricultural activities. Those are not exempted. Services relating to agricultural activities alone are exempted. So mills which convert paddy to rice is not a exempt activity. Okay, then warehousing, we have seen that fumigation in a warehouse of agriculture produce, warehouse of minor forest produce, warehouse of agriculture produce and rice, then warehousing of cereals, pulses, those things are also exempted. Then APMC yard, okay, market. So now after manufacturing, we have seen warehousing, that is cultivation is exempted, then warehousing is exempted, then marketplace. At marketplaces, agriculture produce market committee, there that service is exempt. Commission agent who are doing the buying and selling, that is also exempt. Loading and unloading, packaging, storage of agriculture produce and rice is also exempt. Then transportation of agriculture produce by road, rail or vessel. Okay, transportation of agriculture produce by road, rail or vessel is exempted. That we'll also see when we see the transportation services. So agriculture produce is exempted there. Then what is agriculture extension services? Training, Kisan clubs, application of scientific knowledge to agriculture produce. These agriculture extension services are exempted. Artificial insemination other than horses, so farming of horses, okay, grazing of all animals are exempted except horses, and all other livestock are exempted. Then what is taxable? Process which are essential characteristics of agriculture products, which alters the essential characters of agriculture produce are taxable. Process which makes agriculture produce marketable in retail market, that is example of drying of pineapple. What makes the wholesale product to marketable at the retail product is, okay. Yeah, we've seen some questions. We've understood what is agriculture produce, what is not agriculture produce. Then education services, we saw that services provided by education institution is exempted, but services provided to educational units are also exempted to the extent of transportation of students, faculty, and staff, catering services, including midday meals, then security services or housekeeping cleaning services, and services relating to admission, admission or conduct of examination. This is applicable to preschool and higher secondary school. Beyond higher secondary school, what exemption do they get? They get services related to admission and services of online education journals or periodicals. So this was in relation to health, this thing, education services. Okay. I have not uploaded the chart on portal. Which chart? This will be uploaded after today's class. The reason why I'm uploading late is so that MCQs could be answered here. Once it is answered, then I will upload the charts as well as this presentation itself. Is the PPT of other topics covered like supply and charge? Are you able to see supply and charge or no? Please let me know. Of course, exemption will be sent today. It may get uploaded by tomorrow. But apart from this, whether the previous chapters have been uploaded so that I can inform the team here. Okay. What happens in case of Pandit services? Pandit services, is there any maximum limit, sir? No, Pandit services, they have not mentioned any maximum limit. Any amount can be collected. So Pandit services will be exempted. Karthik Gupta, your question is, on this chart, you're not able to use this chart. That's fine. You study from the study material, you can study it. But the reason for this chart is giving you a kind of revision. You read from the study material. But if you use the charts, then it will be helpful to you. But if you really believe that you have to follow up at the study material itself, even during your peak end of your exam days, then you can continue, because what your intuitive says, that is more important than anything else. Sir, I didn't understand dual qualification and incidental auxiliary courses. Okay. The concept of dual qualification and incidental auxiliary courses means some institution gives you dual qualifications. Okay. In case of dual qualifications, whether it is exempted or no. So if it is educational institution providing one of the qualification is in relation to obtaining a qualification which is recognized by law, then that activity is covered. So that will be covered. And incidental auxiliary courses are provided by some institutions like IIM provides a week course or a monthly course for which there is no certification which has been issued. So it's not a program which is recognized by law. Okay, it's just a kind of you're just taking some kind of short course. So that will not be exempted. Only those courses given by educational institution which is recognized by law is exempted. Okay, no PPT of current batch is not there. Ram, can you just check on this? Because few students are saying that the PPT which I've shared is not been uploaded. If you could upload, then that'll be really. One person is saying all the PDFs are uploaded, including exemption from GST. So I'm a little confused whether Mr. Aita, can you just confirm that the dates are related to June and July 2022, or is it related to previously? Okay, so sure. Okay, then educational services we covered. Then healthcare services by healthcare service provider. That is, who is a healthcare service means clinical establishment, authorized medical practitioner, or a paramedics. All of these are considered as health service providers. It could be a clinical establishment. It is an authorized medical practitioner and paramedics. Then ambulance services is also covered. What all category of health is covered is what all recognized. What is the recognized system of medicine? Allopathy, yoga, naturopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, and Siddha and Unani. These are the recognized system of medicine. But Reiki, acupressure, Chinese medicine are not recognized. Then diagnostic or treatment of care, illness, injury, deformatory, abnormality, or pregnancy, all of this is covered under healthcare. Beautification is not covered in terms of hair transplant and cosmetic. Hair transplant and cosmetics are generally not covered, but when it is covered, it's only covered when it is in relation to restoration of any anatomy, functions of the body, or any defects or abnormality, injury, or any kind of trauma. Okay, those are the healthcare services. Then services by veterinary clinic are also covered. That is services doctors doing treatment for animals are also covered. Then core blood bank services are also exempted, and operator of biomedical waste is also exempted. Right? Then we saw various circulars. What it says, circular says some are exempt, some are taxable. So basically, whatever is done for the patients and food provided for the patients. So composite supply, we have to understand if it's a composite supply, it is exempted. If it's an independent supply, then it's taxable. Then we got into the government services. So wherein services provided by government to these, everything is taxable. Generally, everything is exempted, but specific things they've said that it will be exempted and some things will be taxable. When any services is conducted in the nature of 243G and 243W. What is 243G is panchayat services. Any panchayat services is exempted. Any services of a municipality service is also exempted. Okay, so just a moment. Okay, so services by government in the nature of municipality services or panchayat services are exempted. Then supply of liquor, alcoholic liquor license. Alcoholic liquor is outside GST. Then supply of alcoholic liquor license is exempted from GST. It's basically no GST on that. Then Department of Post, when they provide services to government, are exempted. If they provide services to others, then it will be under forward charge, not a reverse charge. That is sale services, speed post, agency services, life insurance services, and express parcel services. These are liable to GST. All other services are exempted. Ports, airport services, when we're talking of government services, port or airport services are under forward charge. Then transportation services are again under forward charge mechanism. Renting of immovable property, if it is to a registered person, if then it is under reverse charge. If it is to unregistered person, it is under forward charge. So renting is always taxable. We're talking only renting of commercial premises. Then any other services which is provided to business entity is under reverse charge. If it is up till if it is above 5,000, if it is up to 5,000, then it is exempted. If it is above 5,000, only then it is taxable, provided the recipient is a registered person. Okay. Okay, so current batch PPTs are not there. I've informed them, so they will upload the current batch PPTs as well. Not to worry. Isha Jaiswal, your question is on dual qualification and incidental auxiliary courses. Please let me know which point of study method are you referring to so that I could explain you that. Educational services, which point is this? Okay, incidental auxiliary samjhao. Isha Jaiswal, your question is on incidental auxiliary services. Incidental auxiliary courses provided by way of hobby classes or extracurricular classes, activities in furtherance of over naturally bundled course and therefore treated as composite supply. One relevant condition in such cases will be the amount of extra billing being done for unrecognized component versus the recognized component. If extra billing is being done, it may be a case of artificial bundling of two different supplies not supplied together in the ordinary course of business and therefore will be treated as a mixed supply, attracting the rate of higher tax component for the entire consideration. So the view taken in the preceding paragraphs that education coupled with the incentive services is a composite supply and exempt since the principal supply is exempt. Okay. अभी ठीक है? Okay, ठीक है. Okay. Be treated as a mixed supply attracting rate. However, it is also possible to take a different view since as per the definition of composite supply consists of two or more taxable supply. Okay. So what they're saying is what happens in case of a incidental auxiliary service. Suppose I am sending my son to a school. Now they are taking educational services. We know educational services is exempted. Now, after educational services, they are providing some incidental auxiliary courses. Say they are providing basketball courses or they are providing some kind of gymnastic courses. Now, whether these gymnastic courses and basketball courses will be exempted or no is the question. So, the circular here said that in the previous paragraph 1, there are two views possible. So, the board itself is saying that there are two views possible. You will have to justify what view you are taking. So whether you are treating this as a composite supply, if you're treating this as a composite supply, then what is the main supply? Because in the school, generally what happens, the extra courses, whether it can be given to outsiders or no is one factor you have to consider. In some schools, they say that only the students of the school can participate in this. Okay. When the students can participate, only the students can participate, it means it's a composite supply. It's not an independent supply. So only for the students that are doing this activity. So it will be a composite supply. And it's a composite supply. What is the principal supply of education? And this extra courses is incidental course. So the main course is education. So this extra auxiliary courses will be exempted because in a composite supply, what is the relevance of the principal supply will apply to other supplies also. So the auxiliary courses will be exempted. Other view is if you're charging separately or you're artificially bundling it, okay, then another view is it's a mixed supply. That's what the book says, that it could be a mixed supply. If it's a mixed supply, then the risk, it's a very aggressive view, then wherein it's a mixed supply and you are not charging GST could be a risk. You may have to pay GST on the whole services because what we understood, if it's a mixed supply, the rate of tax, which is the highest, will apply to other services also. Okay, so the rate of tax here will be, say, if on the extracurricular activities generally outside when go, it's 18%. So if it is 18%, then the risk is on the educational services also 18% would apply. So that's what, there are two views possible. One is if you treat it as a composite supply, then whole activity will be exempted. But if you treat it as a mixed supply, then there's a possibility that it will be chargeable to 18% on the whole services. Okay. Then Isha, your question is also with respect to one more question you had asked with respect to dual qualification. Educational institutions providing qualifications recognized by law. We have already seen that the institutions providing services by way of education as a part of curriculum for obtaining a qualification recognized by any law in force qualify as educational institutions. However, the question arises that in case where a course in a college leads to dual qualification, only one of which is recognized by law, would service provided by the college by way of such education be covered by the exemption notification? Then provision of dual qualification is the nature of two separate services, as the curriculum and fees of each such qualifications are prescribed separately. Right? If there's a dual qualification, you have an option. You're not under compulsion. So you have an option of selecting selecting the courses. So there are separate services. Service in respect of each qualification will be there will be assessed. So one is recognized by law, another one is not recognized by law. Then what happens? Then you're artificially bundling it. Okay, because you can anyways take it separately, but the college is bundling it together. If it is bundling together, what type of service it is? When it is an artificial bundling, it is a mixed supply. So in case of mixed supply, what will be the GST rate which will be applicable? In case of artificial bundling, it's a mixed supply. The GST rate which is highest of these two services will apply. So if it is a another course which is not recognized by law, then the GST will attract on it, which is 18%. So there is a risk that 18% will apply on the whole course itself. Okay, I thought you understood. So if it's a dual qualification, there's a risk that both of them could be leviable together as dual courses together, and it will be taxable on an overall component. Okay, sir. In one more thing, Rekha, please explain page entry 65B on page 4.43. Services supplied by a state government to excess royalty collection contractors by way of assigning the right to collect royalty on behalf of the state government on the mineral dispatched by the mining leaseholders. Okay, so 65B says that what this is exempt. Okay, mining leaseholder means a person who has been granted the mining lease. Okay, what happens? 1 minute. Okay, so services supplied by the state government to excess royalty collection contractor. Okay, Ms. Rekha and all others, just note down this point on ERCC collectors, wherein services are supplied by a state government to excess royalty collection contractors by way of assigning the right to collect royalty on behalf of the state government on the mineral dispatched by the mining leaseholders. So some rights are given to these ERCC holders, and for this ERCC holders pay some money to the state government. Okay, so service provider is the state government, and state government gives some kind of service to ERCC holders for over collection. Okay, at the end of the contract period, ERCC shall submit an account to the state government and certify that the amount of GST which is deposited by mining leaseholders on royalty is more than the GST exempted. So the extra amount what is collected for mineral dispatch by the to collect royalty. Okay, so the royalty collection is happening by the ERCC holders. They collect and give it to the state government. For that, whatever charges is levied, that is exempted. That is what they are saying. So any contract between the state government to the ERCC holders are exempted. Okay, so collection of this royalty is outsourced to the ERCC holders, for which the state government collects some charges, that is exempted. Just one moment. नहीं, we are continuing. 6:30 हुआ है. Okay. Okay. In food supplied to patients, if such services are outsourced, the other question is, in food supplied to patients, if such services are outsourced, then ITC would not be available to the hospital. Correct. ITC is not available to the hospital. In such case, is the hospital allowed to charge it in the cost of service provided to the patient? Because if yes, in such case, it would be indirectly taxed. So food supply to patients, it is up to the hospital whether they should charge separately or no. There is no restriction that they should charge or they should not charge. If such services are outsourced, then ITC would not be available. Yes, because when they're providing food, the food service provider will charge GST. Correct? He will charge GST, and the hospital cannot charge the GST because for the hospital, it is a composite supply. Correct. It's a composite supply. So to that extent, it's a cost to the hospital. Yes, to that extent, it's a cost to the hospital, and they cannot claim that. That's the way how GST will work in case of exempt services. Okay, in GTA service, the consideration charge 1,500 or 7,500 point not here. Okay, in GTA service, the consideration charge is 1,500 and 750 rupees. So अगर मैं एक consignment बेचता हूँ जिसका consideration value, जिसका GTA value है 1,500 rupees, तो उसके ऊपर GST नहीं लगेगा. That is what is the point on the 1,500 rupees. Okay, so अगर मेरा value of the goods is 1,500 rupees, so on that I don't have to pay the GST. And if that's only one consignment, अगर एक ही टेम्पो में, क्योंकि ट्रक में तो 1,500 तो नहीं जाएगा, ट्रक बड़ा रहता है, टेम्पो छोटा टेम्पो में मेरा वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स 1,500 तक का है, तब मेरे को जीएसटी भरने की जरूरत नहीं है. और जब मल्टीपल कंसाइनमेंट्स एक ही टेम्पो में जा रहे हैं, तब सबका सपोज 750, 600, 500, 400, 300 सब छोटे छोटे वैल्यूज का है, तब भी जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. तो अगर एक ट्रांसपोर्ट है, एक मूवमेंट है जिसमें 1,500 तक का वैल्यू है, तब जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. और मल्टीपल लोगों का है और वैल्यू अप टू 750 रुपीज है, तब भी नहीं लगेगा. So 750 in case of multiple goods, 1,500 in case of single consignment. So GST is exempted. Just give me one moment. I'll read the wordings exactly on this. Goods where the consideration charge for the transportation of goods on a consignment transported in a single carriage does not exceed 1,500, wherein the consideration charge for the transportation of goods. So it's not the value of the goods. The exact wording is service provided by a goods transport agency by way of transport in a goods carriage of agriculture produce or of goods where the consideration charge for the transportation of goods on a consignment transported in a single carriage does not exceed 1,500. जब ट्रांसपोर्ट कर रहा हूं मैं एक टेम्पो से, और एक टेम्पो में कितने भी वैल्यू का गुड्स हो, लेकिन उसके जीटी उसका ट्रांसपोर्टेशन चार्जेस अगर 1,500 तक है, तब आपको एग्जेम्पशन मिल जाएगा. और अगर उसमें मल्टीपल गुड्स है और मल्टीपल लोगों के गुड्स है और मेरा ट्रांसपोर्टेशन चार्जेस 750 रुपीज है, 750 रुपीज के नीचे है, तब भी जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. Clear? So I'll make stand corrected here. I had told it is the value of the goods, and it's not the value of the goods, it is the value of the consignment which is being charged. Okay. Great. Page 4.51, entry 41A and 41B. Full form 41A and 41B. Okay, 41A and 41B, which we have discussed this, and we have discussed it on the construction services. We'll get back to the construction services directly. Like all our revision is covered, so we'll directly get to your questions here. On the construction services, what did we say? Here we had said this supply of TDR or FSI. What is TDR? TDR is a transferable development right. Okay, or FSI is floor space index. So what is the full form of TDR and FSI? What are the question is, what is this basically? So TDR is transferable development right, and FSI is a floor space index. So we had illustrated the story how the landowner gets the consideration for the compulsory acquisition. Apart from the consideration for the sale of land, he will get additional TDR certificates or FSI certificates through which extra floor can be constructed and extra work can be done. Okay, so in that case, what happens? This can be sold to a developable housing project when it is 5%. Okay. Then, sir, for collection of royalty and reverting it to the government, ERCC definitely getting some consideration for its service. Would this be prone to GST or not? So on royalty collection, there is GST, but ERCC services, on that consideration for his services, whatever is paying to the government, that is exempted. The royalty collection is definitely chargeable. Okay, 1,500 only one person and 750 multiple people. Correct, that is clear. Then we discussed on transportation services. Transportation services could be of what? It could be transportation of passengers or it could be transportation of goods. What are we talking of? We are first talking of transportation of passengers. In case of transportation of passengers, they can transport through 3 ways. Okay, they can transport through 4 ways: air, road, rail, or water. Okay, so transportation of passenger or transportation of goods. If we are seeing transportation of passengers, then what all we have? Air. On air, always it is taxable, except Batmans, that is those specific states or specific cities may jab when we embark and board and deboard, it is exempted. Then on road, we have 3 categories. If it is stage carrier or a contract carriage, if it is non-AC, it is exempted. If it is AC, it is taxable. Okay. Then on radio taxis, tourism cabs, conducted tours, charter or hire, then it is all taxable. But metered cabs, generally chote logo ko exempted, people who are dependent on the cabs, basically auto rickshaws, metered cabs and e-rickshaws, they are exempted. Okay. Then railways, metro, monorail and tramways, when we travel, there is no GST on that. Then on railways also, on non-AC coaches, it is exempted, but on AC coaches and first class, it is taxable. Then on water, we have seen vessel. Vessel, it could be of 2 types. Vessel, it could be through a vessel or it could be a inland waterways. If it is through a vessel, if it is for public transport, it is exempted. For tourism and transportation outside India, it is taxable. Inland could be for anything. Okay, tourism or public transport, both are exempted itself. Okay, so basically your backwaters will all be exempted because it's an inland waterway. Then transportation of goods, it could be by road, rail, water or air again. If it is by road, if it's courier transportation, courier traveling is taxable. Any courier person you go, he will charge you courier charges. On that, it is taxable. Then on GTA, it could be either forward charge or reverse charge basis. We know this. If it is a person who supplies goods who supplies this GTA service, if he claims the credit, then it is under forward charge. If he doesn't claim the credit, then it is under reverse charge. Specified goods is exempted. Basically, random goods. What is random goods? We know this. Relief materials, agriculture produce, newspaper and magazines, defense and military equipments, organic manure, milk, salt, food grains, flour, pulses, and rice. So on random goods, it is exempted. Then similarly, railway also, it is on transportation of goods is taxable except random goods. Then water, inland waterways, again exempted here. So inland waterways, passenger is also exempted and goods are also exempted. Vessel, of course, coastal transport is taxable except random goods. International transport, India to outside is exempted up to 30th September. After 30th September, presently it is taxable. Outside India to India, if it is Indian shipping company, then it is under forward charge. If it is foreign shipping company, then it is reverse charge. Then by air, international and domestic transportation of goods is taxable. International is exempted. From outside India to India is exempted. From India to outside is exempt up to 30th September. Okay. Okay, there seems to be no questions in the past 5 minutes. Pooja, is the connection lost or is it visible? Is it viewable now? Okay, clear now. Here it is given that through railways, GST on transportation of passengers is exempt, but sir, IRCTC charges GST on tickets, sir. What does this mean? No, on transportation of passengers is exempt by the IRCTC on the transportation fare if you are traveling through a second class sleeper or second class seater. But apart, when you book these classes also, you have service charges which has been levied. On that service charge, only GST is charged. Suppose they charge 10 rupees of service charge, on that GST is charged, but not on the value of the ticket if it is a second class. But if it's a AC class or a first class, then GST will be applicable. So that's what we have mentioned here. No, so on the second class, up to second class, there is no GST. On air conditioner and first class, GST is applicable. Okay, then right of admission to events, when entry fees के ऊपर क्या GST लगेगा? Yes, it will be applicable except on museums, national parks, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserves or zoo. These places may any value is exempted. Then protected monuments is also exempted any value, but for these activities it is taxable if the value is above 500 rupees per person. If it is up to 500, then it is exempted. What are these? Circus, dance, theatrical performance, including drama or ballet, then award function, concert, pageant, musical performance, or any sporting events, then recognized sporting events on Planetarium. Here it will be exempt if the consideration is up to rupees 500 per person. And if a person who is performing, if he's performing folk or classical form of dance, art or dance, music or theatre, then it is exempted if the consideration is up to 1.5 lakhs. Okay, if the consideration is up to 1.5 lakhs, it is exempted. Otherwise, it is taxable. Then if you go theatrical performance on Bollywood songs, then also it is taxable. And as a brand ambassador, you do any activity, you're getting money consideration which is justifiable. You're not promoting anything. You're of course promoting the band for which you're getting consideration. So please pay GST on that. Then Residential Welfare Association. Basically, first you have to see at the welfare association level, is there any liability, whether they are liable for GST, whether they are in a state where the 20 lakhs is the limit. And if their turnover is crossing 20 lakhs, then GST is payable by them. If it is less than 20 lakhs, then GST is not payable. Also, if it is about 20 lakhs, you have to see whether how much is the monthly charges you're collecting. If you're collecting monthly charges up to rupees 7,500 rupees, then no GST. If you're collecting above 7,500, then GST will be applicable. Okay. So that is with respect to Residential Welfare Association. Then very important is on legal services, right? Legal services, who is the supplier? Is a law firm, is either an individual or a firm. Is it a partnership firm of lawyers or an individual lawyer? Now, if he is providing services to another lawyer, okay, one lawyer can provide services to other lawyer, or it could provide to another firm of advocates. In that case, it is exempted. If it is a senior advocate, also it is exempted. Okay, so individual lawyer providing is exempted, but the vice versa is taxable. So let's clear this part itself. So individual providing to another individual or an individual providing to a senior is exempted. But if a senior advocate provides to an individual, then it is taxable. Okay, and a senior advocate provides to another senior advocate, that is also taxable. And so that is important. Senior advocate services will be taxable. Individual or a firm of advocate service will be exempt. Okay. And further, all of these are same, wherein if the individual advocates or senior advocate or an arbitral tribunal, any of these provides services to a business entity whose gross receipts are under the specified limits. Okay, whose gross receipts are below the specified limits, then they are all exempted. Okay, so if any individual or advocate, individual advocate, senior advocate, or arbitral tribunal provides any services to business entity, now this entity is not registered and their limits are below the limits, so then it is exempted. But they are providing to another business entity whose limits are exceeding the specified limits. So if they are provider of services, then it is 20 lakh. If they are provider of goods, they are 40 lakhs. Then if they are If they are an entity who are doing more turnover, then they have to pay GST under RCM. So only in this one category you will see that it is under RCM, but in all other cases, most of the cases, it is exempted. So advocate providing services to government is exempted, and providing services to any other person is also exempted. Okay. So what is a planetarium? Planetarium is a place where you will see how the stars and moons work. So you will see the artificially how the sky develops. How is the what are these called? The galaxies developed. You'll see all the planets being there. So planetarium is a place wherein it's like a museum kind of a thing. How you go to a museum and if you see something like that, planetarium displays the sky to you. Okay, so visit to a planetarium whenever you see. It will be really beautiful thing to see. It displays how the lunar system works, how the solar system works, and how the rockets are launched and all those things. Okay, now we'll get into services which we have not covered in the last classes, so which are really important. We'll cover those. Banking services by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, Reserve Bank of India provides services to other banks. Okay, it collects some charges because it provides some services. It's a monetary authority. It's the central bank of the country, and it provides some services to other banks for which it collects some charges. On that charges, it does GST is not applicable. Then it provides some services to the public also, right? Like exchange of notes and things, are for whatever reason, if it charges any consideration, then all services by Reserve Bank of India are exempted. Generally, they don't collect any charges for exchange of notes and all. But if there is some activity, some kind of a service which they do, if they charge GST on that, if they charge any consideration for the service they provide, on that GST is not applicable. Okay. Then service by way of extending deposits, loans, or advances insofar as the consideration is represented by way of interest or discount is exempted. So if I go to a bank and they give me some loan, okay, or they give me some advance on which they collect interest. On that interest, GST is not levied. So banking services may bankers, whatever interest they collect, that is exempted. Other than interest involved in credit card services. So if I make a default in credit card payment, then the credit card company charges interest. On that, GST will be applicable. So when I say interest, the interest on deposits, loans, and advances is the only one thing which is exempted. But interest on credit card. So if I have a credit card on which I have defaulted, I will make the interest payment. On that, GST is applicable. Interest on credit card services, be careful, is taxable. Interest to a banking company is exempted. Okay. Then inter-se sale or purchase of foreign currency amongst banks or authorized dealers of foreign exchange or amongst banks and such dealers. So I go to a bank and collect a foreign exchange. Okay. Now I need some foreign exchange. They will give me the foreign exchange in exchange of INR. Fine. On that, there's only exchange of money. But on top of it, they will charge me foreign exchange charges, translation charges. On that, they will collect GST. Now, when I go to a banker, they have to collect GST, right? Now, this banker does not have the funds with it. It does not have sufficient foreign currency. It will go to another banker and tell, if you have any foreign currency, give it to me. So another bank gives it to this bank. On this transaction between one bank to another bank, there is no GST. Okay. So one banker to another banker doing a foreign exchange transactions, charging any consideration, exempt from GST. From that banker, when we as customers go and collect something, then GST is applicable. Okay. Then it could be from one bank to another bank, or it could be a authorized dealer of foreign exchange. So there are authorized dealers of foreign exchange who can deal with foreign exchange. If, let's say, like Waysman, wherein they are authorized dealers of foreign exchange. Now, if they do any transactions between the bank, that is also exempted. So if they do with the customer, it is taxable. But if they do with the banker, or banker does any transaction with the authorized foreign dealer of foreign exchange, authorized dealer of foreign exchange, then it is exempted. Okay. Then services provided by a banking company to basic savings deposit account, right? Like the holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. So only services of basic savings bank deposit account holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is exempted. Okay, like when I have my savings account and the banker charges me quarterly charges for the or annual charges for the debit card. On that, GST is exempted or taxable. I am a savings bank holder. I am an individual. Is GST applicable or no? Please tell me the answer. Now, Rekha, your question is, can an arbitral tribunal provide service to another arbitral tribunal? No, generally, an arbitral tribunal does not provide services to another arbitral tribunal. It provides services to parties who have some problems and conflicts. They come to them. So they provide services to either individuals or corporates, but they just generally don't provide services to another arbitral tribunal. What is specified limit for the business entity? That is what we had discussed in the register in the chapter, wherein 10 lakhs is for some states for both goods and services. For some states, it is 20 lakhs, and some states it is generally for all the states it is 20 lakhs for services and 40 lakhs for goods. So that is the limit for the business entity. RBI lending money to commercial banks is also exempt. Yes, RBI lending money ke upar, of course, no tax, but interest what they collect, that is exempted. So RBI lending money by getting commission on charging interest, that is exempted. All services by the RBI is exempted. So the RBI lending money to commercial bank is also exempted. No, GST is not applicable. GST may not be applicable on case of debit card charges. Okay. So everybody is saying on the savings bank, whatever annual charges they charge or whatever SMS charges, they've started sending SMSs. So they say mobile service charges. On that, I'm having a savings bank holder. So most of you are saying that GST should not be applicable on it. Very few answers. I need some more answers. Whether the charges levied on by the banker to me on my savings account, on that is GST applicable or no? Second question I will add, if I'm having a current account, I'm having a business who is registered under GST. Now I have a account with the bank. The banker is charging me for same annual maintenance charges and annual debit card charges. On that, will GST be applicable? Sir, individual have threshold limit to GST registration, not individual. Everybody has the threshold limit for registration, not only an individual. Anybody, a company also has the same threshold limit. So unlike income tax, where we have different threshold limit for an individual separately, and for companies there's no threshold limit. Like that, there is no separate threshold limit, one for individual, one for company, one for LLP. The threshold limit applies to all. Okay, so whether you're individual or a partnership or a company, if you're a service provider and your turnover is below 20 lakhs, then you don't have to register the GST. If you're trader in goods and then your turnover is less than 40 lakhs, then you don't have to register for GST. Okay. This means for credit card borrowers have to pay on the interest GST. Yes, credit card borrowers, if they've defaulted and the credit card company is charging you interest on that, GST will be applicable. Savings accounts, no. Current accounts, yes. Oh, that's nice proposition, Prabhas Jain. Question asked by Sir. What is question asked by Sir Sushil Kumar? GST will be applicable. GST applicable to current account holder. No tax on savings account, but taxes will be charged on current account. Oh, everybody is of the view that since it is a savings bank account, GST will not be charged. Okay. And most of you are of the view that annual maintenance charges on the current account is liable to GST. You're very emotionally driven students. So you don't want GST to charge to you because you are having a lot of savings bank account, a lot of balances are there. So that's why you don't want GST to be charged on your transaction. That's why you're saying no GST on savings bank account, but GST will apply on the interest or on the annual maintenance charges which is charged to current account. Very interesting. But please note, what is the exemption saying? Inter se service provided by a banking company to basic savings bank deposit account holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? Other than Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, any savings bank account whatever we have on that GST will be applicable. So apna savings account mein if you see the debit in your account on a quarterly or a monthly basis will not be for 15 rupees. On 15 they will charge GST and there will be a debit of 17.7 rupees. Okay, which means their value is 15 on the GST they are charging. So on the savings account holders, any charges levied by the banker is leviable to GST. Okay. Yes, Sushil. Second question is current account service charge is GST applicable? I'm saying the answer is yes. On current account also it's applicable. On savings account also it's applicable. On both accounts, GST is applicable. Only if it is a savings bank account opened under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, on the GST will not be applicable. Apart from that, normal savings account, GST will apply. Life insurance business services. Services clear on banking thing? Or is there any question after my answer? Current account service charge GST, yes, applicable. And savings bank account GST also applicable. Okay, no more questions on banking services. Let us move to insurance services then. Okay, let's get into insurance business service. Services of life insurance business. Okay, service of life insurance business provided by way of annuity under the National Pension Scheme, which is regulated by the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority of India under the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority Act. Okay, so services of a life insurance business provided by way of annuity under the National Pension Scheme is exempted. So normal life insurance services when we receive from LIC, LIC is a government company, right? It got an IP also listed now. So do you think that LIC on the premium collects GST? Because it is for life, it is saving. Should GST be charged on that? Is GST chargeable on that or no? On your LIC premiums? Yes, Karthik, your question on 34 and 39A, there is nothing much to understand there. That's why I've specifically excluded, but I'll just mention it over here. So in banking services, what else is included? Services by an acquiring bank to any person in relation to settlement of an amount up to 2,000 in a single transaction, transacted through credit card, debit card, charge card, or other card payment. Acquiring bank means any banking company, financial institution, including NBFC, who makes the payment to any person who accepts such card. Okay, so when we go swipe some card, there is charges which is levied by the banker to the vendor. So when you swipe 2,000, the person who is swiping it, for you it is 2,000 rupees spent, but for him he will get it after some deduction. Now, if that deduction in relation of settlement up to 2,000 in a single transaction, if that bank swipe charges charged by the banker to the vendor is up to 2000, then it is exempted. Above that, they will charge GST. So up to 2000, it is exempted. Okay, then services by an intermediary of financial services located in a multi-services SEZ with International Financial Service Center, with that is IFSC, status to a customer located outside India for international financial services in currencies other than Indian rupees. So there will be some facilitations and IFSCs, International Financial Services Center, okay, which are located in special economic zone. If they charge anything, customer located outside India, then it is exempted. For the purpose of in this entity, and IFSC, intermediary of financial services in IFSC, is a person who is permitted or recognized as such by the government of India, who is treated as a person residing outside India. So any kind of recognition which is there will be treated as a person who is permitted to do IFSC transactions. If they are doing any in SEZ, if they have a IFSC center, that is International Financial Services Center, then and they are providing services to international currencies to a customer located outside India, because the main objective of setting up a IFSC is to provide services to foreign clients, international clients. So any charges what they charge to foreign individuals is exempted. So GST is chargeable if policy is not under NPS. Yes, sir. Chargeable to GST. Yes, on your life insurance premium also GST is applicable. Okay. So even if you have Amritpal Kaur, madam, the question on current account was basically on any charges levied by the current account or any charges levied by the savings bank account also. On both GST is applicable. When it is exempted, only if it is at the Pradhan Mantri bank account, then it is exempted. Otherwise, on your savings account and current account, both any charges levied on that GST will apply. On normal LIC premium, tax is chargeable. Normal, abnormal, all LIC premiums, GST is chargeable. Then service of life insurance business provided or agreed to provided by the Army, Naval and Air Force group insurance funds. Okay, so Army, Navy and Air Force people ke liye whatever insurance is provided, that is exempted. Provided that is under the group insurance scheme of the central government. Fine. Then services of life insurance provided are agreed to be provided by the naval group. Basically, Army, Navy or Air Force ko exempted dena chahte hain. So Army, Navy and Air Force group insurance funds, then naval group insurance fund, then services of a life insurance provided by the Central Armed Police Forces. Okay, so all of this forces, which is schemes run by the government, right? Mostly of the central government. On that, GST is not applicable. Other than that, any LIC and any private insurance companies which charge you on the values on that or charge you the insurance premium on that, GST is definitely applicable. Okay. Then life insurance business services of life insurance provided under the following schemes. So till now what we're seeing, life insurance which is exempted. Further schemes which are exempted is Janashri Bima Yojana, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana. All the government run schemes are exempted. Basically, Janashri Bima Yojana, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, life micro insurance product as approved by the IRDA, having maximum amount of cover up to 2 lakh rupees. Life micro insurance product, then Varishta Pension Bima Yojana, that is for the elderly people, then Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Vai Vandhan Yojana. So basically in our banks we see 330 rupees and 13 rupees being deducted. On that is a government run scheme. So that's why on that also GST is not applicable. Okay. So government run insurance scheme ke upar GST nahi lagega. When life insurance premium paid, it is chargeable to GST. Yes, it is chargeable to GST. But the rate there is different. The calculation there is different. Not at a straight jacket rate of 18%. And what is the premium? There is a different rate which is being charged. GST chargeable on general insurance scheme. Yes, on general insurance scheme also GST is chargeable, except the exemptions what we will read now. Sir, on all service provided by life insurance are Taxable, yes. All service provided by life insurance are taxable, right? Except this government schemes. Then general insurance business services of these general insurance services are exempted. हट इंश्योरेंस स्कीम, ठीक है, गरीबों के लिए झोपड़ी बचाने के लिए हट इंश्योरेंस स्कीम चला जाता है. देन कैटल इंश्योरेंस अंदर स्वर्ण जयंती ग्राम स्वरोजगार योजना स्कीम और फॉर इंश्योरेंस ऑफ ट्राइबल्स, जनता पर्सनल एक्सीडेंट इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसी एंड ग्रामीण एक्सीडेंट पॉलिसी, देन ग्रुप पर्सनल एक्सीडेंट पॉलिसी फॉर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड वुमेन, एग्रीकल्चर पंप सेट ग्रुप पर्सनल एक्सीडेंट पॉलिसी फॉर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड वुमेन. Okay, then agriculture pump set and failed well insurance. Okay, basically if your pump set is lost or not working and well is not working, failed well, then you can get this insurance because you're dependent on that. That's the reason those insurances are on which you pay premium is exempted to GST. Premium collected on export credit insurance. On export credit insurance, whatever premium is collected, that is exempted because they want to encourage exports. So any insurance done on your export cargo, on that you pay the premium, that is exempted. Then restructured water-based crop insurance scheme approved by the Government of India and implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture. So these are the general insurance scheme. What are the other general insurance scheme? Services by general insurance business provided under the following: Jan Arogya Bima Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which is for the crops, pilot scheme on seed crop insurance, central sector scheme on cattle insurance, universal health insurance, Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, coconut palm insurance scheme, Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Should we remember all of those things? So these things you have to recollect. If you don't have to remember, they'll not ask mention all the insurance schemes on which GST is exempted. ऐसे question नहीं पूछेंगे. They will ask question that insurance company is providing a pilot scheme on seed crop insurance. Is it exempted or no? So you need to know and recollect, but don't have to memorize them at least. But you need to know it because the question could come that the person has taken insurance scheme under the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana and is fighting with the insurance company that GST should not be paid, but the insurance company is saying that GST has to be paid. Will he win the fight? Questions like that will come up, not directly related, but you need to know what are all the schemes then. Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana, Nirmaya Health Insurance Scheme implemented by the trust constituted under the provision of the National Trust Act, then Bangla Shashya Bima Yojana. All of these general insurance schemes are exempted. GST is chargeable on general insurance scheme. Yes, as I said, except these, everything it is taxable. Sir, on all service provided by insurance, taxable. Yes. If central government based life insurance scheme also exempt from GST? No. Any central government or state government, central government schemes are generally exempted. State government based life insurance generally are not there. So state government based life insurance schemes are not exempted. Okay, so these are the insurance schemes which are exempted. So we understood on the banking services, then we understood on the insurance services. Then services by specified bodies. Okay, so specified bodies means generally these are the bodies which are set up by the government to support the industry. On these services, charges levied by these authorities are exempted, starting from ESI, so employee state insurance services. So all your companies, if you are crossing a threshold limit of number of employees, then you have to pay ESI contribution. Now ESI will collect some contribution charges also and manage the funds. So on that, whatever charges is collected by the ESI, it is exempted. Employee state insurance, ESI meaning is employee state insurance. EPFO is Employees Provident Fund, Employees Provident Fund Organization. Then NPS is National Pension Scheme. Okay, with these ESI, EPFO, and NPS collect funds from the companies or individuals and they pay it back with appreciation. Could be interest or it could be when in terms of EPFO, Provident Fund, when they want to retire, they can take back the funds. ESI is for all insurance related payments, all health related payments. So whatever charges they collect from the employees or the employees, all those charges are exempted. Okay. Then IRDI, basically all your insurance companies are run and regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India. Then your stock market and insider trading is controlled by the SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India. Then coal is controlled by Coal Mines PFO. Like how we have a EPFO, like that separate Coal Mines PFO is there. So all of these authorities do the kind of maintenance of your accounts. So any charges collected by them is exempted. Okay. Again, I'll repeat: ESI, EPFO, NPS, IRDI, SEBI, and Coal Mines PFO. All of these by authorities providing services are exempted. Then, what are the other exempt services? Services by way of transfer of a going concern as a whole or an independent part thereof. This is very, very important exemption. So even though it is there in the miscellaneous exemption, because there is no specific industry or specific category for this, that's why it's been mentioned under a general thing. But note that any service by way of transfer of a going concern as a whole or an independent part thereof. When I sell goods, I pay GST. But if I sell my whole business, on that GST is not applicable. So service by way of transfer of a whole, transfer of a going concern. Transfer, where the business is going on, somebody has bought it. So on that also GST has to be applicable because goods has been sold and what all things are there, but whole assets and liability has been transferred. So business transfer, on a business transfer, GST is not applicable. Okay. So be careful. Even though this exemption is small, it is a very relevant exemption. Services by way of transfer of a going concern as a whole or as an independent part thereof. Okay. Services by way of transfer of a going concern as a whole or a part thereof. Whether one part of business I transfer or one small business unit I transfer, whatever I transfer as a going concern is exempted. Then services provided. So if I don't transfer the business as a whole, I do it on a separate basis. Saying stock I will sell to somebody, assets I will sell to somebody. Like that, I distribute and break it up and sell it. On that, this exemption will not apply. Now to sell the business as a whole, then this exemption will apply. If you sell the parts in parts, say asset to one person, stocks items to some person, on that GST will be leviable. But if you transfer of a going concern, then this benefit is applicable to you. Interest on house loan is interest GST, sir? No. On house loan, we pay interest. On that GST is not applicable because it's an advancement of loan. We have seen, no? So if you see on this screen, on the banking services, what we said, this one, it covers here. By way of extending deposits, loans or advances, insofar as the consideration is represented by way of interest, is exempted. So you're taking a housing loan, right? So that is exempted. Okay. Then service of way of a going concern, yeah, exempted. Services under, by, and to FIFA and its subsidiaries directly or indirectly related to any events under FIFA under 19. So FIFA under 19 World Cup mein jab hua tha, on that any services provided to or by taken by FIFA was exempted. Service of supply of services associated with transit cargo to Nepal and Bhutan. So Nepal and Bhutan mein you have a transit cargo. Okay, transit cargo, that is also exempted. Service by way of renting of residential dwelling rent for use as a residence. So any house you give for residence is exempted. Any house you give for commercial purpose is taxable, but giving of a house for residential purpose is exempted. Then satellite launch services supplied by the National Space Research Organization, Antrix Corporation, or New Space India Limited. So ISRO, Antrix, and New Space India Limited. These three people are permitted to do any kind of satellite launch. And these companies, when they do satellite launch services, okay, then on that GST is not applicable. Okay, they collect some remuneration from the government. So on that GST is not applicable. Transfer of business is a capital gain, right? Under income tax, it's a capital gain, correct, Pooja? But under GST, it is exempted. Is all services provided by SEBI are exempted? Yes, all services provided by SEBI are exempted. Okay, so these are the exemptions. Basically, we have an update here, amendment to existing name, wherein service provided by the central government, state government, union territory under any training program for which 75% or more of the total expenditure is borne by the central government, state government, or union territory is considered as exempted. So services provided by the central government, state government, union territory under training program. Okay, any training program is exempted now. Earlier it was different. Now it is said that under any training program for which 75% of more of the total expenditure is borne by the government. Earlier there was no such limit, but now they have said that 75% more of the total expenditure, if it is borne by the central government, then on that training program exemption will be available. Then services by way of granting national permit to goods carriage to operate throughout India, right? So national permit is given by the Road Transport Agency, RTO. RTO gives the national permit on which they collect charges. On that also GST is exempted. Then withdrawal services, services by of leasing of assets by the Indian Railways to India, by the Indian Railways Finance Corporation to Indian Railways. Earlier it was exempted, now it is withdrawn, so it will be taxable. So services of leasing of assets, it could be what? Rolling stock assets, including wagons, coaches, locos by the Indian Railways Finance Corporation, IRFC to IR. Okay, there are two separate companies. Indian Railways is separate and Indian Railways Foreign Corporation is separate. So Indian Railways Foreign Corporation giving something on lease was exempted. Now it is taxable. Yes. Any questions on exemptions before we get into the questions and MCQs? In this PPT, whole chapter is covered. Yes, in this PPT, whole chapter is covered. All the major exemptions are covered. If there's some other exemptions which are small and which are not relevant, I've just left it. You can consider them. And if you find that there's some, if there's some questions, you can ask me in the next session or in the problem solving session. But I've tried to cover all the exemptions here. Service provided by foreign diplomatic mission, those things I have not covered, but those are all self-explanatory services. Those you could read through. Wherever those are exemptions on which some explanation is required, I've covered them. Another exemption is services by a hotel in guest house, club or campsite for residential or lodging purposes where having the value of unit of accommodation below 1,000 rupees is exempted. Okay, so any like we had seen the charitable activities, that if they're providing any room on which they're charging 999, then it is exempted. So and that is exempted. So similarly, in this case also, any hotel also is charging something up to 999 rupees, it is exempted. Sir, explain new entry. New entry says services by of granting national pension to goods carriage. So the goods has to move across India, they have to get a national permit. Who collects the National Road Transport Agency collects it. So Road Transport Agency, when they collect परमिट चार्जेस नेशनल परमिट के लिए येलो बोर्ड रहता है, राइट? फॉर दैट येलो बोर्ड दे हैव टू गेट अ परमिशन. तो येलो बोर्ड के लिए जो स्पेशल चार्जेस लगते हैं, ऑन दैट ऑल्सो जीएसटी इज एग्जेम्प्टेड. ओके. Okay, so we'll take up related questions here. If there are no more questions from your end, there are some questions. Is 12AA of the IT Act and 12AB of the IT Act are different? Yeah, they are kind of same, because earlier the registration for a charitable organization was under 12AA. Now the Income Tax Act has changed it, that permission, to 12AB. So 12AB is the relevant one, which is relevant for your exams. 12AB of the IT Act is what is relevant. Sir, on the basis of doubts we ask, can you judge how deep our knowledge is? As we are on right path or approach and spirit, is there anything do we tell well prepared? Yes. I feel the questions have been asked only to the extent of my explanation, Karthik. If you read through the books, then your questions will be more deeper. So please go through the books and ask more deeper questions, because there are some deeper things involved. If you understand things, then you can understand that. That's the reason. Please go a little deeper. Whether the updates are leviable GST or no. What is this, Sushil Kumar? Please ask your question clearly. So earlier there was no GST on hospital bed charges, but now it is charged exceeding 1,000 rupees per day. Then GST is payable? No, even on hospital bed charges, we've seen that it is a composite supply, right? So when it's a composite supply of healthcare services, हॉस्पिटल का बेड कितना भी रहने दो, 10,000 का रहने दो या 1,000 रुपए का, 5,000 का, जीएसटी तो नहीं लगेगा. So on bed charges, GST is not applicable. Pooja, is there anything which you have seen that above 1,000 rupees? Because no updates for you are there, wherein till now it is there, wherein on bed charges you will be levied GST. So on bed charges, GST is not leviable. But very interesting. Please let me know if there is something you heard so that I could clarify that. Okay, so we'll take a break of 10 minutes here and we'll get back after 10 minutes. Hello? हाँ सर. Okay. Welcome back, friends. So few of your questions on whether the updates are leviable, GST not. Sushil Kumar, your question is not yet clear to me. Updates like amendment to existing entry, new entry is chargeable GST, not chargeable GST. Yeah, all of this amendments, what I'm seeing now here is related to exemptions. So those are all exemptions only, which I'm saying. So amendments, whatever I had said, is an addition to the existing things. So new entry means this is a new entry to the amendment to the exemption. National permit paper exemption. Earlier, this entry was not there. Withdrawal entry means earlier it was exempted, now it is taxable. Okay, that's the meaning of withdrawal of entry. The new entry means new entry has come to the exemption list. Exemption is given through notification. Now, in that notification, this has been added, which means on the national permit, earlier it was taxable. After this entry was added, it is exempted. Withdrawal of entry means earlier it was exempted. Now, after it is withdrawn, it will be taxable to GST. Arangtula Swarup Singh, your question is of very ITC related thing, that you have paid ITC, you have claimed ITC and you have paid it through some other account. So if that some other account is balance is there, then you can claim refund of that, but you cannot transfer the wrongly paid entity's GST to a correct paid GST. That is not possible. You can apply for refund in the wrongly paid entities login, because whatever balance in your electronic cash ledger is there, that you can opt for refund. Once you opt for refund, it will come to them and then you can pay to the correct account. Okay, Swarup Singh. Okay, Ms. Pooja, your question is non-ICU hospital room rent over 5,000 per patient, GST is applicable. Earlier it was zero, and lot of things in terms of India. So there was this recent GST council meeting wherein they have made a lot of changes. That is not applicable to you, but yeah, there are a lot of changes in that aspect. Okay. Yeah, we'll take up some questions, general question answers. So understand this, then we will go to exemptions. We'll go to MCQs and we'll take some problems. I am a trader dealing with only tax exempt supplies. So he's a dealer who's dealing only with exempted goods, okay, or is dealing only with exempted services. Is it necessary to register under GST if the turnover exceeds 20 lakhs? So the limit for services we know is 20 lakhs. Now this person is dealing only in exempted services and his turnover is exceed 20 lakhs. Should he register? No. We'll see that in registration chapter also, but here there's just a clarification saying that if you're doing only exempt services, like we've seen a lawyer services are exempted, it is under reverse charge, and services of a hospital is exempted, and they're not doing any taxable services, except those which we said, like they are doing some shop or they are doing some advertisement services, but this hospital is not doing anything. They're providing purely hospital services. Pharmacy is also run by an outsider, not by the hospital. So on that case, will GST be applicable or no? The answer is there is no requirement of registration under GST if a person is dealing with 100% exempt supplies. Similarly, an agriculturist, if an agriculturist is dealing in agriculture produce and is not dealing with anything else, then he does not have to register at all. So there is a special provision given wherein generally if your threshold turnover crosses, then you have to register. But there is a notification which is given that people who are dealing with purely exempted goods or exempted services and your turnover has crossed, even then you don't have to register under GST. Okay. Next, amount charged for service provided by selectors to a recognized sports body. Is it taxable? Yeah. The sports body we had left out because that's why we are covering here. Services provided, any services provided to a recognized sports body by an individual as a player, referee, umpire, coach, or team manager for participation in a sporting event organized by a recognized sporting body are exempt from GST. Okay, so individual provides services as a selector. He is a selector for the selection of players on that GST is applicable. But if I'm providing any services as a player, so I'm playing the match, or I'm a referee or an umpire or a coach or a team manager for participation in sporting event organized by a recognized sporting body. So IPL is not a recognized sporting body. Indian Kabaddi League is not a sporting body. So all these are not sporting bodies, but international cricket, Ranji trophies, those are recognized sports bodies which are exempt from GST. So that will be exempt, not the other sports bodies, but not everything. If you're an ambassador, if you're a brand ambassador and cheerleader, that will not be exempted. Those will be taxable. Only if you're a player, referee, umpire, coach, or team manager, then your services are exempted. Is BCCI a recognized sport body? Yes, BCCI is a recognized sport body. Services by way of vehicle parking to general public in a shopping mall. No, services provided by way of vehicle parking to general public are not exempt from GST. Okay, so we go parking charges we pay, and then GST has to be paid. Okay. Ram, an agriculturist, has stored sugarcane in a warehouse. He has taken fumigation services in the said warehouse from Gupta Pest Control, for which he has paid the consideration of 6,000. Is it exempted? We know that fumigation services of agriculture produce is exempt. Sugarcane is agriculture produce. On the fumigation services, GST will not apply. Okay. Purva acts as a team manager for Indian Sports Association, a recognized sports body, for a tennis tournament. She is a team manager for Indian Sports Authority, which we know that it's a, and the question itself, they mentioned that it's a recognized sports body. Now she is a team manager for a tennis tournament which is organized by multinational company and for which received a remuneration of 2 lakh rupees. So is it taxable or exempt? The services are provided by a team manager. Team manager is considered as part of those exemptions, right? The services are provided by a team manager to a recognized sport body, but the sporting event should be organized by a recognized sporting body. In this case, the sporting events is organized by a multinational company, but it should be organized by a recognized sporting body, right? Like somebody was asking, ICI or BCCIs, okay? BCCI or ICC. Only in that case, if it is with respect to cricket, so each sport has its recognized sporting body. So if the sponsors are different, but who is organizing it? This sporting event is organized by itself by a multinational company, so it is not falling under the qualification of exemption. So this will become taxable. Okay. Eon Enterprises, an event organizer, provided services to Breathing Walls Limited by way of organizing business exhibition in New Delhi as part of Make in India initiative. Okay, so this company is an event organizer. It provides services to a private limited for organizing business exhibition in New Delhi as a part of Make in India initiative. Kian Enterprises claims that it is not required. Kian, so basically Eon or Kian Enterprises, this is the same entity, claims that it is not required to pay GST as the services provided by way of organizing business exhibition are exempt from GST. What is it? Is it be really exempted? Services provided by an organizer to any person in respect of business exhibition are exempt from GST only when such business exhibition is held outside India. So here we understand that any business exhibition, if it is held outside India, is exempted. Okay, and any services you provide for holding a business exhibition outside India is exempted. However, since in the given case the exhibition is being organized in India, the services of organization of event by Kian Enterprises will not be exempted. So somebody was asking whether this chapter covers everything. So wherever this chapter does not cover, there I've mentioned it question and answer session, so we can understand it with some case laws. Right. IPL is organized by BCCI, then why it is not exempt? So it is not a recognized sporting thing. So that's why IPL is not exempt. Okay. The services provided by an event organizer for conducting a business exhibition which is held outside India, on that GST is exempt. But For within India, it is not exempt. Okay. Okay. ST Limited has given on hire 5 trucks to T2 Transportation of Delhi, a goods transport agency, for transporting goods in Central and West Delhi. The hiring charges for the trucks are 7,500 per truck per day. Examine whether GST is payable in the given case. Well, from one GTA to another GTA, if there is any transportation, then GST is not payable. GST is not payable in case of hiring trucks to T2 transporters, because services by way of giving on hire inter alia to a goods transport agency, a means of transport of goods, are exempted. So this is another exemption wherein services by way of giving on hire, okay, you give on hire either on your individual capacity or as a private limited who is hiring trucks. If you hire trucks to a goods transport agency, then on that GST is not applicable. Okay. Understood the exemptions? Can we get into the MCQs and the problems? Charity matches are examples of recognized sports event which are exempt. Charity matches, if they are conducted by recognized sporting agency, only then it is exempted. Which criteria make it recognized? Any registration required? No, no registration is required. They should be organized only by these conditions, recognized by a sporting or by a recognized sporting authority. It should be a recognized sport. Only these criteria. Okay, we'll get into the multiple choice questions now. Mr. Panduranga booked a Kalyana Mandap. This we have covered, but we'll just quickly finish off. First 3 MCQs we had covered it earlier itself. Kalyana Mandapam at 20,000 rupees and room books at 850 rupees. So which of these is taxable? We have covered 1, 2, 3. So I'll just rush up with the answers as a brusher, so that people who have missed can know that what is the correct answer. Panduranga booked a Kalyan Mandapam Tirupati, where the rent for the premises is 20,000 rupees. We know Kalyan Mandapam up to 10,000, 9,999 is exempted. So renting of Kalyan Mandapam is taxable in this case. Renting of rooms up to 999 is exempt. So in this case, it is 850. So that is exempted. So correct answer is B. Renting of Kalyan Mandapam is taxable and renting of room is exempted. Fine. Second question, X Private Limited providing service of advancement of skill development to various companies. X Limited is not paying GST by the notion that services related to advance of skill development are exempt from GST. Is their contention correct? The correct answer is no. X Limited is liable to GST because services related to advance of skill development provided by charitable trust is exempted. Okay, but in this case, it is a private limited company. So even if it provides advancement of skill development to various companies, it will still be liable to GST. So then the X Limited, okay, you said trust, so I bought in trust. X Trust registered under 12B AB is providing services for advancement of skill development to various companies. Now at least it is exempted. Again, it is no, because X Trust is liable to GST because services related to advancement of skill trust to specified persons is only exempted. In this case, they are providing to general public to another company. it is not a specified person, so it is still taxable. So it should be a trust and it should provide specified services, only then it will become exempted. Okay, fourth one. Mr. Yatra Tours enter into a bilateral arrangement. So first three questions we had covered, right? First, everybody is giving correct answers. But for fourth question is where we have to actually see it. Messrs. Yatra Tours enters into bilateral agreement with Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited, a government of Uttarakhand. It is providing services with respect to Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. Is Messrs. Yatra Tours chargeable to GST? Okay, you went to Yatra Tours and said that I want to do Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. Yatra Tours has a bilateral arrangement with Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited. Now, we know that Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited and Hajj Committee services are exempted, but you have entered into agreement with Yatra Tours. Who has an agreement with Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited? So, is it taxable or exempted? The fourth question answer is A, no, because MS Yatra Tours is providing tour services to religious pilgrimage, so no GST. Some people are saying Kailash Mansarovar Yatra itself is exempt from tax by any service provider. Few people are giving answer as D, service in respect of Kailash Mansarovar is not chargeable since it has entered into a bilateral arrangement with Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam Limited. Service with respect to Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is chargeable to GST. So C option is Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is chargeable to GST since the exemption is available to specified organizations only. What is the correct answer? 4, most of the people are saying A because it is a pilgrimage tour, religious pilgrimage, so it is exempted. Okay. Okay, most of you are, there's a kind of confusion here. If you are saying A, if you are saying C, if you are saying D. So the correct answer is C, because services in respect of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is chargeable to GST since the exemption is available to specified organizations only, which is to KMVN or to Hajj Committee. Only to them the exemption is there. Exemption is not there to any other organization, even if they have entered into agreement with Kumaon Mandal Vikas Nigam. So Messrs. Yatra Tours is providing you the service. So their service, they have to charge GST. Exemption will not be available because the exemption of Kailash Mansarovar Yatra is applicable only to KMVN and not to everybody else. Okay. So if they enter into agreement, still exemption to that other entity will not be available. Exemption will be applicable only to KMVN. So the correct answer for 4 is C. Next question. Which of the following services are exempt from GST? So there are 4 services. You have to identify what all are the services which are exempt from GST. First service is conversion of paddy to rice. Second service is warehousing of rice and forest produce. Third is conversion of potato into potato chips and tomato into ketchup. Service by way of fumigation in warehouse for non-agriculture produce. Is it 1, 2, and 4? Is it just 2? Is it 2, 3, and 4? Is it 1, 3, and 4? Take your time because there are 4 services and various combinations. So answer 5 with care. I'm really shocked. How did people give the answer for 5 so soon? Okay, most of you are giving the correct answer. The correct answer for 5 is B, because only warehousing of rice and forest product is exempt. Conversion of paddy into rice is taxable. Conversion of potato into potato chips is exempt, is again taxable. Tomato into ketchup is also taxable. Fumigation in a warehouse of only agriculture produce, non-agriculture produce is taxable. So only answer is B, which is only warehousing of rice and forest produce is exempted. Great, good. 6th question, Mr. A is met with an accident and was admitted to hospital. Mrs. A is staying with Mr. A in the hospital to take care of him. The hospital provided treatment to Mr. A and provided food facility to Mr. A. Now, Mrs. A is taking food from the canteen, which is maintained by the hospital. GST officer demanded GST for the food facility by the facility provided by the hospital to Mr. A and Mrs. A by stating that it is not a healthcare service. Is this contention correct? Yes, GST officer's contention is correct, as food facility is not related to healthcare. So we said only healthcare is exempted, non-healthcare is taxable. Is it A? We are saying food facility provided to Mr. A is part of composite supply of healthcare and not separately taxable. So food provided to Mrs. A is liable to GST. Is it so? Or no, food facility provided to Mr. A and Mrs. A is part of composite supply of healthcare. They're not coming to eat food. They're coming for healthcare. Incidentally, they take the food. So Mr. A and Mrs. A both are not separately taxable. So healthcare and food are not separately taxable. Food provided to Mr. A is taxable and food provided to Mrs. A is exempt. Because Mrs. A is taking care, so her food is exempted. Mr. A is staying there, so it is taxable. Which of these options is correct? Great, Rekha. Good. If your concepts are crystal clear, that's why you're giving the answers correctly. Really appreciate that. 6, also, most of you have given the answers correctly, except 1 or 2, but most of you have given your answers correctly. Akanshil, Akash Neel, Kartik Gupta, Rekha, Ayush Agarwal, Menan Rafiq Bhai, Raghavan, Kusum Lata, Gayatri Shanbag, Menaka Kumari, Hitesh Jain, Pooja PS, Hitesh Jain, Gayatri Shanbag again. Don't repeat your answers. 6, the answer is B. food facility provided by Mr. A is part of a composite supply of healthcare and not separately taxable, whereas food provided to Mrs. A by hospital canteen is liable to GST because it's not a composite supply. Great, understood that. Very nice. Question number 7. Mr. X is a business facilitator to SBI Bank with respect to accounts in its rural branch and urban branches. Are these services exempt from GST? Yes, services provided are exempt from GST. No, services provided are exempt. No, the services provided are taxable from GST. Basically, I wanted to mention that. Services are exempted which are related to rural branch. Services which are related to urban branch are taxable. Services are taxable which are related to rural branch. And services are exempted which are related to urban branch. What is the correct answer? Seven, some are saying answer is A, some are saying answer is C. Okay. And the correct answer for question number 7 is A. No, it is C. The correct answer is C because services are exempted which are related to rural branches. Services related to urban branches are taxable. So exemption as a business facilitator is available in respect of accounts in rural branch. And with respect to urban branch, it is taxable. Yeah, option B is wrongly written as exempted. It is option B should be no, the services provided are taxable from GST. You're right. Okay, we'll go to question number 8. Question number 8. Miss Geeta is a dancer in Bharatnatyam. She acts as a brand ambassador to a dancing institute. Is she liable to pay GST? No. Services provided by an artist is exempt from GST. Yes, she is liable to GST if the consideration exceeds 1,50,000. Yes, providing services of brand ambassador is taxable under GST if consideration exceeds 1,50,000. Yes. See, 3 yes. That's the beauty of this question and answer. All the 3 yes, but the reasoning is different. Okay. Yes, providing services as a brand ambassador is taxable under GST even though the amount of consideration is ₹1. Eight answers are correct, but reasoning is wrong. Some people are saying B, some people are saying C, and some people are saying D. Well, the correct answer is B, because providing services as a brand ambassador is taxable under GST for any value, no threshold limit set. So if you're a brand ambassador, you'll be taxable only if it is more than 150. No, even if you're not, even if your amount is less, if you're a brand ambassador, you're always chargeable to GST. Okay, without any threshold limit. Miss Pavitra is a dancer performed in folk or classical art forms and charged amount of rupees 1,49,999. Is she liable to pay GST? Yes, liable to pay GST. No, performance in folk or classical dance and consideration up to 150 is exempt from GST. No, falls under service definition, does not fall under definition, or none of the above. Very simple. 9. I don't want any wrong answers. 9. The answer is there in the answer itself, the question. So it's very clear. Yeah, Karthik Gupta, your question on 4.74, which is entry number 39, we have already covered in the question. So 39 exempts the services provided by a banking facilitator or banking correspondent to a banking company with respect to accounts in rural area branch provided by any person as an intermediary to a intermediary to a BF or BC, which is basically banking facilitator or banking correspondent with respect to such services are exempted. So banking facilitator and banking facilitator or banking correspondent providing services to a urban banking company is exempted, but to a rural branch is urban is taxable, rural is exempted. Further services provided by to an insurance company in rural area is also exempted. So this banking facilitator or banking correspondent providing services to rural area is exempted. Okay. And they should be with respect to accounts in a branch located in a rural area of a banking company. So branch located in urban area will be taxable, but if it is in relation to a branch located in a rural area, it will be exempted. Answer 9. Everybody said correctly. Yes, it is B. Performance in folk or classical dance and consideration up to 150 is exempt from GST. Correct. Question number 10. ABC is conducting a circus in Anantapur. Entry fees is rupees 550 per person. Is this taxable under GST? Yes, taxable under GST. No, taxable under GST. Services related to admission circus is exempt. So taxable under GST because the consideration amount is more than 500. Transaction not falls under service definition. No, service related to admission service is exempt from GST up to consideration of rupees 1,000 rupees. This is also a very simple question. And the answer is B. Yes, it is taxable under GST because the consideration is more than 500. So threshold is 500 rupees. Fine. Last MCQ. Legal services provided by an arbitral tribunal to a business entity with an aggregate turnover of registration limit in the preceding financial year is exempt from GST or not exempt. Okay. So arbitral tribunal is providing services to a business entity whose aggregate turnover of registration limit is up to that registration limit, which is basically he's below the limit. Is it exempt from GST or not? No, legal services provided to a business entity is always taxable. It is exempt from GST. Or no, legal services provided by arbitral tribunal is always taxable. Okay. Or is it none of the above? $11. What is the answer? It's fastest fingers first. If you are saying option A, if you are saying C, and if you are saying it is B. The correct answer is, for the last question 11, is B. The service provided by arbitral tribunal to a business entity with an aggregate turnover of registration limit in the preceding previous year is exempt from GST, because his turnover with an aggregate turnover of registration limit, he is just below the registration limit. So he is a business entity with this below the threshold limit, so it is exempt from GST. Okay. Now we'll take up a problem and we'll see how to answer that. Question number 13. Okay. Any more questions here? We'll get into a problem solving session. As I said that we'll take up 2 problems and we'll solve them. I'll share the question first. This is the question. Yeah. Mr. Kumar is a registered supplier of Chennai, has received the following amounts in respect of activities undertaken by him during the month ended on 30th September 2020. First, he's received for service provided to recognize sports body as selector of a national team, for which he's got 50,000 rupees. Commission received as an insurance agent from an insurance company. Amount charged as business correspondent for the service provided to the urban branch of a nationalized bank with respect to savings bank account, 15,000 rupees. Services to foreign diplomatic mission located in India, 25,000 rupees, 28,000 rupees. Funeral services, 30,000. He has received the services from unregistered GTA for his business activities relating to serial number 1 and 3 above, and paid freight of 45,000 rupees. His aggregate turnover of previous year was 9,90,000 rupees. All the transactions above stated are intra-state transactions, are exclusive of GST. You are required to calculate the gross value of tax payable on which GST is to be paid by Mr. Kumar for the month of September 2020. So please tell me of this, what all is liable to GST? Pooja PS exhibition 500 rupees limit related info is in which entry, sir? It is there, no? Your exhibition related entries. Entry number 81. Can a retailer charge GST on MRP? Yes, can only add his profit. On MRP, beyond MRP of the goods, he cannot charge. So he has to always sell at maximum MRP. So MRP will include GST and will include his margin. So MRP shall be the maximum retail price. Okay, so how do we solve this question is what we will see. Not just yes, no, exempt, not exempted. What is taxable? How do we present it is very, very important. So this is, I'll just share the screen again in 1 minute. Okay. So this is the question here, and we have an answer here. Computation of gross value of taxable supply. Because what is the question asking? You are required to calculate the gross value of taxable supply on which GST is to be paid. Okay, you have to calculate the value on which GST is to be paid by Mr. Kumar, and working note should form part of your answer. Very, very important. Even if they don't tell this, you should always remember that working notes should form part of your answer. Okay, so let's start on calculation of computation of gross value of taxable supply. First, mention the particulars, then the amount. Supplies on which GST is payable under forward charge, because here we have some item is on reverse charge, right? We know that. So we should distinguish it so they know that we know that examiner will know that you are a student who knows what is forward charge and what is reverse charge. Supply on which GST is payable under forward charge. First is, we'll write the verbatim: amount charged for service provided to recognized voting body as a selection or selector of nationality. Okay, is it taxable or exempt? We've told that selector is not exempt, it is taxable, right? Only coach or a coach, player, umpire, those are exempted, but as a selector, it's taxable. So this will be under the taxable category, right? 50,000 rupees. Then commission received as an insurance agent from insurance company. Okay, commission received as an insurance agent from an insurance company, only as an insurance company, is services under reverse charge. So it is not my supply. So I will not include it in my supply. Okay, be careful. Commission received from a bank is different. Commission received from an insurance agent is different. Commission received from an insurance agent is liable to reverse charge. Then business correspondent to urban branch of a nationalized bank. So specifically mentioned, he supplied to an urban branch. So we know only if it is rural branch, it is exempted. If it is urban branch, it is taxable. Clear? Then services to funeral diplomatic mission. So when you have to write it, you have to write the category properly. Only then you'll get the marks. Services to a foreign diplomatic mission. Is it taxable or exempt? Nothing exempted. It is taxable. Funeral services are exempted. So you know that funeral services are exempted without any value of limit. Funeral services are exempted. Okay. Then supplies on which GST is payable under reverse charge. He has taken freight of 4,45,000 rupees, right? So is this the point on his previous year's turnover relevant? No, that is not relevant, because you take any services from a GTA if you are a registered supplier. Whether you are registered last year or no, this year you are a registered person. So last year's turnover is 990 is only to confuse you. So this year you are registered, so you have to pay GST under reverse charge. So services received from GTA is 45,000. So what have they asked? They have asked in the question, what is the value of taxable supplies on which GST is payable? So we'll add all of these things, which is basically 50 plus 15 plus 28 plus 45 makes it 138. Okay, so you have to pay GST on 1,38,000. The question is only asking you what is the value of taxable supplies. You will only include. If they ask you for the tax rate, then you calculate the tax rate. Here in the question, they've just asked you what is the value of taxable supplies. So this is the value of taxable supplies on which GST is payable. Clear with this? Commission received is employee receives. No, commission received is never employer-employee. Employer will not pay any commission to an employee, he'll pay only salary. So commission is paid as a principal and agent. So a principal will pay to the agent commission. So it is not a salary, not under exemption, it is taxable. Insurance agents are not employees of the insurance company. Insurance agents are freelancers who are doing the service for the insurance company. Okay. How to calculate tax rate? So if on this, most of the services, what we'll say is tax rate on this, everything, it is 18% because all of this is 18%. So what if they say calculate tax rate, then you'll calculate on total of this. What is the total of these? It is 28 plus 15 plus 50, it is 93,000. On 93,000, you'll calculate at 18%, right? On this service, we know GTA service, when he's not charging, you're paying under RCM. On RCM, you'll pay at 5%. So this will be the tax you will calculate. And they will give you the tax rate. So if they don't give, you know that general rate is 18%. And on GTA, they will not give the rate because GTA are supposed to know the rate. On GTA, it is 5%. And all other services, it is 18%. So the value, tax value is 18,990, 16,740 plus 2250. Okay. We'll go to the next question, which is question number 25. I'll share the question. Please go through the question. I will also read through for you. Okay, AgroCare Limited, registered under GST, furnishes the following details with respect to the activities undertaken by them in the month of March 2021. Okay. What are the various activities? Just read it. Okay. The receipt from supply of farm labor, charges for seed testing, charges for soil testing, charges for warehousing, commission received on sale of wheat, charges of trainer. So basically all agriculture services items, you will find it here. We'll go to the answers and see if the reasoning for this, whether it's taxable, non-taxable. What is the question? Compute the value of taxable supply of AgroCare Limited for the month of March if all the above amounts are exclusive of GST, right? Generally, it will be exclusive of GST only. So we will have to calculate this. Okay. So here we go. We have this values. Now we'll go one by one. Computation of value of taxable supply, which is for Agrocare Limited. Just mention the heading so that the examiner knows which question you're answering, because it is not necessary that you should answer in the chronological order of 1, 2, 3, 4. Which answers you know first, you answer them first, right? So Agrocare Limited, computation of value of taxable supply. First is receipt from supply of farm labor. Okay, receipt of supply from farm labor, is it taxable or exempted? Entry number, I've just given it here for reference, but you don't have to mention the entry number. We are clear on that, right? So entry number need not be mentioned. This is only for your reference. Okay. Receipt from supply of farm labor is not liable because it is exempted. Charges for seed testing. Charges for seed testing, is it taxable? No. Charges for seed testing is also exempted. Then charges for soil testing of farmland. Third is charges for soil testing of farmland. Is it taxable or exempted? Charges for soil testing is also exempted because this is also an exemption. Then charges for warehousing of potato chips. We know that potato chips is not an agriculture product. So warehousing of potato chips is taxable. In the reference, you could mention that potato chips are not agriculture products, so hence it is taxable. Then commission received on sale of wheat. Commission received on sale of wheat is again exempted because when you receive any commission as a APMC yard or a commission agent for selling agriculture products is exempted. Wheat is an agriculture product, so it is exempted. Then charges for training of farmers on use of new pesticides and fertilizers developed through scientific research. So this also, there is a specific exemption. We have seen that training of farmers on use of new pesticides and fertilizers and scientific research is exempted. Renting of vacant land to stud farm. Stud farm means horse के लिए. Stud means horse के लिए जो farm है. Renting, rearing of horses is specifically excluded. So renting of vacant land to any other farm, agri farm or any animal farm, rearing of animals is exempted, but stud farm is taxable. So here it is taxable. Then leasing of vacant land to a cattle farm. This is exempted because cattle farm is exempted, stud farm is taxable. Ninth point, charging of warehousing of rice, where rice is not an agriculture product, but we know that specifically charging of warehousing of rice is exempted. Then charging for warehouse of cotton fabrics. Cotton fabrics, is it taxable? Yes, it is taxable because cotton fabrics are not cotton. Cotton is an agriculture produce, but cotton fabrics are not agriculture produce, taxable. Retail packaging and labeling of fruits. Retail packing and labeling of foods and vegetables, okay, specifically excluded. Retail packaging and labeling of fruits and vegetables. So only fruits and vegetables are doing the retail packing and labeling. It is exempted. Charges for warehousing of minor products produce. Again, this is exempted. Charges for warehousing of spices. Okay, warehousing of spices is also exempted. So charges for warehousing of minor forest produce and spices are exempted. So what is the value of taxable supply? Whatever we have mentioned, addition of that is 4,70,000, which is the value of taxable supply. Clear? Okay, just mentioning exempt, not sufficient. When you work out the question and answers like this, you'll get a correct answer and correct picture. Entry number is compulsory. No, entry number is not compulsory. Why retail packaging is exempted? Retail packaging of fruits and vegetables is only exempted, not other things. So entry 57 says retail packaging of fruits and vegetables because they are to be sold as such. Only primary packaging, yeah. But specifically, there's an entry for fruits and vegetables. So fruits and vegetables are specifically exempted. Yeah, if it is retail packaging, it will be taxable. So it is a wholesale packaging. In the question, it is actually mentioned as wholesale packaging, which I've changed it. So wholesale packaging of fruits and vegetables without doing any kind of branding on it, just packing and labeling is wholesale packing is exempted. Retail packing is taxable. I'll stand corrected. So here it is retail packaging and labeling. So it will be taxable. You're right. Gayatri Shanbag and others, Raghavan, Hitesh, whatever you said is taxable. It is not exempted. This type of questions, I don't know how much mark. I've just given an illustration. Retail packaging exempt? No, retail packaging is taxable. I stand corrected. Okay. So we are done with this session on exemption. 3 days continuous session. That's nice. So my next session, students, is on Sunday evening at 6 to 8. So please note that we will have a class on Sunday and Monday. Earlier it was scheduled for Monday and Wednesday, but because of my preoccupation, Wednesday I'll not be available. So we have preponed the class on Sunday 6 to 9 and 6 to 8:30 and Monday 6 to 8:30. So next we'll have time of supply and value of supply. So please let's catch up on Sunday. Thank you. Yes, sir.